Ladies and gentlemen, guys and girls, my name is Raven and welcome back to World of Warcraft. I'm on my rogue and today I'm going to be showing you my subtlety build to get the most optimal DPS out of this spec. We're going to be starting off with PVE and let's just get straight into it, shall we? So, in tier 1 we go with Weapon Master. Your abilities have a 6% chance to hit the target twice each time they deal damage. Now, Master of Subtlety does pull ahead in very limited scenarios DPS wise, but what we're going for overall is the most optimal build over the most optimal scenario. So the one that does the most damage over the most scenarios we want to take, and that is Weapon Master in tier 1. Now in tier 2 we want to take Subterfuge. Your abilities requiring stealth can be used for 3 seconds after stealth breaks. Also increases the duration of Shadow Dance by 2 seconds. That is really important. So your abilities when you're in stealth, you got Shadow Strike, you got your Cheap Shot, and you got your Symbol of Death. All right, now your Shadow Strike is what we're going to be using the most. It does the most damage and you want to be pumping that out as much as possible whenever you are in Shadow Dance. And what this does is it allows your Shadow Dance to last for 2 seconds longer, so you can have more time to pump out more Shadow Strikes. And when you very first come out, it's like a mini Shadow Dance when you first come out of stealth, which you can't go wrong with that. Next here we're going to go for Deeper Stratagem. So you may have a maximum of 6 combo points. Your finishing moves consume up to 6 combo points and your finishing moves deal 5% increased damage. Now this was nerfed from, I think it was like 10% down to 5%. It still is the best choice overall for the pure fact that you do 5% extra damage on your Eviscerates, on your Nightblade, and so on and so forth. You can't go wrong. Next up we have Cheat Death. So when you take fatal damage instead of dying, you get returned to 7% of your maximum health, and you reduce the damage you take by 85% for 3 seconds. Now, like I said in my assassination build, this has been nerfed from 3 minutes up to 6 minutes, which is a bit shit. If you're beginning out and you're not that confident with the subtlety spec, this is pretty much the best thing you can take. If you are really good with it and you're really good at using feint, then elusiveness is just far better. But overall, Cheat Death is a really good place to start with. Once again, like I said, if you're more advanced, go with elusiveness. Overall, that thing is for the more advanced player. For the person who's just getting into it and you're just starting subtlety, Cheat Death is the way to go. Keeps you alive longer, gives your heals a chance to keep you up. What more do you want? Next, we have Prey on the Weak. So enemies disabled with your blind, kidney shot or cheap shot or sap take 10% increased damage from all sources. And that's all sources. So whenever you are able to do this to a target, say a mob or whatever you want to do, everyone does 10% extra damage for the duration of cheap shot, whatever you got on them. So keep that in mind. It's all sources. It's the best one to take when you're doing damage. So yeah, Prey on the Weak is what we take for this little tree. It just helps everyone else out. What more do you want when you're trying to help out your raid? Next here, guys, we go for Premeditation. Cheap Shot and Shadow Strike generate 1 additional combo point. This thing is amazing, guys. Like I said, you're going to be using your Shadow Dance quite often, especially with the last talent, Master of Shadows. I'll just read that out now. You immediately gain 25 energy whenever you enter stealth or activate Shadow Dance. Now, these two work extremely well together. When you're in stealth, you're going to be using your Shadow Strike, which it does the most damage, okay? It fucking hits like an absolute bust. You're going to be pumping out as many of those as you possibly can while you're in your Shadow Dance, and obviously you want to come out of stealth with it. You got to keep in mind that Symbols of Death make you do 20% extra damage for 35 seconds. And it causes your next Shadow Strike to critically strike. Okay, so you got to keep that in mind. You want to build that into your rotation. Now, whenever you go back into stealth using Shadow Dance, you gain that 25 energy. So you want to make sure that you only use it when you're below 70 energy. Don't go into Shadow Dance when you're up to 75 energy, 80 energy, because all you're going to do really is waste energy, because you can't go above 100 anyway. So you want to make sure you save it for when you're like around about the 30 mark. Once you've blown all your energy and you need an energy boost, pop that. It'll pop you back up. You can pop out some Shadow Strikes. You're good to go. All right, guys, and that is it for the PvE side. It's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You're going to be using Shadow Strike mainly, and you're just going to be pumping out that damage. Now that you got Deeper Stratagem, you'll be getting your 6-point combo Eviscerates and Nightblades out as well. So now we're going to move on to the PvP talents. Alright guys, so now we're going to be starting with the PvP talents. In first tier we go for Master of Subtlety. Attacks made while stealth and for 5 seconds after breaking stealth cause an additional 10% damage. One thing you want to keep in mind, what we're going for is burst here. This is PvP now. We're talking about picking someone. We want to keep them locked down. We want to blow them up, and we want to try and distract like blind and cheap shot everyone else, so that way we can focus the target. So what this does well is it just makes you do extra damage, and you got to remember when you use your Shadow Dance, you count as being in stealth. You end up doing the extra 10% damage. It's a fucking beautiful thing, especially with your Shadow Strikes. Tier 2, we go for Subterfuge. Same again, your abilities requiring stealth can be used for 3 seconds after, and it also increases the duration of Shadow Dance by 2 seconds. The longer you're in Shadow Dance, the better. More kidney shots, more Shadow Strikes, you'll be building up more combo points, and you'll be doing a fuck ton more damage. It's what you want. And when you very first come out of stealth, you got that free basically Shadow Dance because of the fact that it's for 3 seconds after stealth breaks, okay? Up next we take Vigor. Increases your maximum energy by 50 and your energy regeneration rate by 10%. This thing right here just helps immensely when it comes to PvP, because you're going to be jumping from target to target so much, especially in arenas, that you want to make sure that you have enough energy to keep those cheap shots going and keep those Shadow Strikes pumping out. Now, if you find yourself more comfortable and everything, and you just want to go for more damage and you got a really solid team, you can go for deeper stratagem. But end of the day, Vigor, for me at least, just makes the whole thing play a lot smoother, gives you a lot more options. Next here, we go for Soothing Darkness. So you heal for 3% of your maximum health every 1 second while stealth is active. This thing counts for Shadow Dance. So this just right here, it's a no-brainer. It just keeps you up for a lot longer, makes you a lot more self-sustaining, takes the pressure off your healer in arenas, and like healers in general, you kind of don't need them sometimes, and it just makes you a self-sufficient killing machine, which is what you want. The longer you can keep yourself alive to shank fools, the better it's gonna be. Next we take Prey on the Weak. So enemies disabled with your blind, sap, kidney shot, cheap shot, deal 10% extra damage. All right, so like I said, it's from all sources, so if you pop this down, your entire team, everyone around you is going to be doing 10% extra to the target. It's cheap shot as well, so you got to remember, when you Shadow Dance, you can cheap shot, it's kidney shot, and it's blind. So you're going to be doing 10% extra damage to a lot of different people, and with your Shadow Dance, you have the ability to literally cheap shot as many people as you want if the energy allows and they're within range. All right guys, up next we take Premeditation. So cheap shot and Shadow Strike generate 1 additional combo point. What more can you say? Like I said, you're going to be Shadow Striking a lot, you're going to be cheap shotting a lot. The more combo points you get out of that, the more finishing moves you can use, the better day you're going to have, okay? Nice and simple, that one. And lastly, we have Master of Shadows. You immediately gain 25 energy when you enter stealth or activate Shadow Dance. Once again, this entire build is around doing as much damage as possible, locking down as many people as possible, and keeping yourself self-sustained. That's why we have the healing, where we can heal ourselves through Soothing Darkness. Master of Shadows, we can give ourselves energy back so we rarely run out, and basically it just helps us keep chugging along with the shanking train and just fucking stabbing everyone inside. All right, so that right there, guys, is the PvP build for this, and now we're going to move on to the honor talents. Alrighty guys, moving on to the honor talents. Please keep in mind, I just capped my rogue, so I'm still working on getting all of these talents, but I've looked up the most optimal build you can go with this, so keep that in mind. Tier 1, we want to go with Gladiator's Medallion. Now, if you're a human, take Relentless instead, because you already have a medallion built into yourself with your racial passive. Up next, you want to take Reinforced Armor. Increases your health by 10%. The more health you have, the longer you survive. It's just going to be better in general for you. Up next, we take Cut to the Chase. If a nearby enemy within 10 yards moves faster than you at any given time, you match their speed and exceed it by 5% for 3 seconds. This right here is a fucking amazing ability for just being able to keep up with everyone and no one can get away from you. And like I said, they can be sort of like dragging themselves away or like wanting to live. They're not going to live because you're going to be able to catch them and you're going to be able to cut their balls off. What more do you want? Next, we're going to be taking Shadow's Caress. While in stealth, the cooldown recovery of your abilities is increased by 30%. So what this does is it synergizes extremely well with Shadow Dance. And like I said, your entire build is basically revolved around Shadow Dance. It synergizes really well, makes your cooldowns come off a lot quicker. So anything we can take that synergizes with Shadow Dance, we're basically going to be taking in the long run. Up next, you want to take Cold Blood. So when activated, your next cheap shot or Shadow Strike will deal 10% of the target's total health in shadow damage. Once again, you can use it from your Shadow Dance, you can use it from your regular stealth if you want, and what it does is it just gives you a fuck ton of extra damage. This will make that burst window when you very first come out extremely high, and it'll just help out with burning someone down extremely quick. Same way if you're like in a deadlock in arenas and stuff and you need that burst window and like everyone's really struggling at that point, you can time this up with everything else with your allies and you can just jump and pop this. You'll get that extra burst of damage. It could be what you need to finish off the target. All right, and lastly guys, we go with Phantom Assassin. Increases the duration of Shadow Dance by 3 seconds, and you automatically gain symbols of death when you enter stealth. This thing right here is fucking amazing, alright? So once again, it synergizes with your Shadow Dance, increases it by a further 3 seconds, and you gotta remember we're taking a talent over here, which basically increases it by 2 seconds. So right now you have 5 seconds extra on your Shadow Dance, so that's going for what? 5 seconds, you got a 10-second Shadow Dance, man. That's pretty fucking insane. And you gotta remember as well, with Soothing Darkness, you're healing yourself for every 3% every 1 second. it just synergizes extremely well with the build we've gone for. Overall, like I said, you've got a lot more survivability with this build. You're able to catch people a lot more, and now you're going to be able to just basically do a fuck ton more damage, which is what you want. And that, guys, is my Subtlety Rogue build. I really hope this build helped you out, guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought. And if you want to see more videos from me, please hit the subscribe button. I shall see you all in the next video. Have a good one, guys.